Welcome. I'm Keith Fillauer, Chairman of the Oak Ridge Board of Education, and this is Focus on Education. Each month, a member of the Board of Education will bring you a program focusing on education in Oak Ridge. It is my pleasure and honor tonight to talk about Oak Ridge High School track, and as my guest, I have the head track coach and the head cross-country coach, and they do about everything there is to do with the track program. We're going to talk about the track program, and we're going to talk about some exciting things that are going on with a track facility here at Oak Ridge High School. So let me introduce my guest, head track coach Tom Sawyer, head cross-country coach Ed Wright. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to start off the first part and just let the audience that's watching get to know each of you. I know those who are here at Oak Ridge High School know you, but we're going to spread this out and let the entire community know about you. So Tom, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and so forth.
Hey, well, I'm Tom Sawyer. Grew up in Oak Ridge, went to Oak Ridge schools, graduated Oak Ridge High School in class of 91, ran cross country and track for Coach McNamee and Coach Anderson, ran with and behind Ed Wright when we were running here. It's my 26th year of teaching. This is my 10th year at Oak Ridge High School. Moved my family back here because of the schools and the opportunity to grow and be a part of what we do in Oak Ridge. I'm a social studies teacher at the high school, and I teach AP Government and AP Human Geography.
And is that what you've always taught?
No. I majored in history, and when I got the job here, I haven't taught history. There's historical aspects to government, but so I branched out into those two fields, and it's been going great. I mean, I love what I do and where I'm at.
All right, Ed.
Ed Wright, head cross-country coach, assistant track coach with Tom. I also graduated Oak Ridge High School in 1990, ran track, cross-country all the years that I was here. I currently teach at Jefferson Middle School, portrait of a graduate. So I teach all grades, 5th through 8th, and then obviously come here to the high school to coach. This is my 20th year of teaching, but this is my 5th year at Jefferson. I taught 2.5 years at Robertsville teaching math before that, and graduated from MTSU.
Well, you know, Tom, as I drive around in different locations in Oak Ridge, I see Ed running a lot, but I don't see you out there running with him still.
He teaches middle school, and those kids don't really get out. When I'm out in the world, high school kids will throw things at me, yell at me. So unlike him, I'm okay with putting the iPad on a treadmill and going to town just in my own house.
I get some of that. Some of the high school runners will yell at me.
I understand. Well, the two of you here, one is head track coach and one is head cross-country coach, and then you work with each other. And we talked about this a little bit before we started. Do you have any assistants, or is it just the two of you doing everything?
So I can get on the track side. I'm the head coach. Ed is charge of distance. We have a jumps coach, Laura Froning, who's a TA at Linden. Our shot put throws coach is Tom Froning, teacher of the high school. We have a volunteer coach, Gary Van Berkel, who does discus. We have a hurdles coach, which is Becca Steins, formerly of Woodland Elementary and a former runner at Oak Ridge High School. And we just took on another volunteer coach, Malik Hardy, who was a state finalist in the 200. And he's young, and he got with us this year, and it's been amazing. I always say this, and it's not a lie. We have the most specialized coaching staff on a track team in at least East Tennessee. It's amazing the amount of stuff we have. And in the fall, I am an assistant cross-country coach to Ed. So we switch roles when the seasons change. We actually hand the baton off to each other.
So, and you're in season right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Meets have started?
We've had indoor. We just had the first TSSAA practice start was last Monday. The first contest date, I want to say, is March 11th. So our first actual meet is a scrimmage jamboree at Farragut High School on March 5th, so a little under 2 weeks.
So you do run indoor track as well?
Yep.
And where, when you participate in meets, where are those meets held?
Well,
indoor?
pre-COVID, it was a lot more, I guess, stable. Typically, what will end up happening in a regular year, ETSU will host 2, I think. Usually the state meet is at Vanderbilt, and there are excellent meets in Louisville, Lexington, and there are some in South Carolina. Depending on the group that we have, that determines on the amount of participation, because indoor is not part of the TSSAA aspect of it. And because we have to get ready for January, I have to wait for the football kids to get done, and it all depends on who's ready, because we don't want kids to burn out. And one of the big things this year, the big push we had was we wanted all of our 9th graders to get their first race in early. So when we start in 10 days, that it's not their first high school race.
So cross-country season has completed.
Yes.
But I would imagine that your cross-country runners, or most of them, are also transitioning into running track, which, talk just a minute about that transition, because running cross-country and then running distance and track, not knowing a lot about track, but I would suspect that that's completely different.
Yes. The training, so training for cross-country, obviously we're going to do higher mileage, more longer workouts, tempo workouts. When we transition to track, mileage is less. We're working on getting faster and doing more speed work, shorter 200s, 400s, instead of saying running 800s or 1,000 meters in cross country was what we would do. And again, bringing the mileage down, working on their speed, because we're not running anything longer than 2 miles. And the majority of the kids in track are going to run mile 800. I will have very few that are going to focus on the 2 mile. Most of them are going to focus on the shorter events, so we work on that speed aspect of it.
So Oak Ridge's history in cross country and track is at the highest level.
Yes.
You mentioned some of the past coaches that made their mark both in cross country and track. Can you go back and talk about this past cross-country season just a little bit?
So this past cross-country season, our boys actually were 3rd in the section in the region, to Hardin Valley, who ended up winning the state championship, and to Farragut, who was 4th in the state. We ended up 11th in the state with everybody except 2 of our top 7 coming back next year. So this has been, we started building this last year knowing that we would have had a good group of sophomores, and knew that, okay, going in, we're gonna be good as juniors, and we're gonna be even better as seniors. And so it's been a progressive, we're gonna get better. And so next year we're shooting for top 5 in the state. That's just because we'll have those guys that were sophomores will now be seniors, right. And they're gonna be a lot better, and they're running track as well. So and
always something to be said about experience.
Yes.
And both our middle schools have cross-country programs.
Yes.
And both our middle schools have track programs. Yes, so that is a benefit, I would hope. So is there, take away the school competition, if I'm not running track or I'm not running cross-country and I'm not participating in any other sport, these are my sports, what am I going to do when I'm not in season? Or what are you going to hope that I'm doing when we're not in season?
And Coach Wright brought up a really good point. When we transitioned, which we just did from cross into track, one of our main emphasis is to make sure that our runners and our top runners don't get tired of running. We don't want them to get sick of it. Track is a good change of pace. We actually have to talk down our elite guys that you're not going to do as many miles. We're here to get everything more intense, focus, and literally the track season is the first step in the training for next year's cross. They don't see it that way, and that's fine. But they'll do this, they'll get a break, and then the miles are going to come in. And, you know, especially with our year-round schedule, school starts, July 25th? Mm-hmm. Right. So, I mean, it's not like so far away that we can actually, you know, we've done a really good job, in my opinion, especially Coach Wright, about getting them ready in the summer without wearing them out.
And you have to give them breaks.
Yes.
Throughout, even in season, we have to take a break.
They have to recover.
And then between seasons, we take a longer break because there's a mental aspect to it too, where mentally they kind of get burnt out mentally, and they need a break, and then they can come back after that break and start fresh, but not be so out of shape that they can't get back into shape pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we've been very good, or we made it a point with especially all the weirdness that these kids have gone through the last 2 years, that that this is should be a release. It should be joyful and and competitive. And so we're very being teachers as well as coaches, that they need to be good kids. They need to be well-rounded and mentally in a place that they can focus. And it's been hard, but they've been great. The kids have been awesome.
I know both of you have been in the coaching business long enough to have seen some of your athletes go on to become coaches as well, and some to go on to be outstanding athletes at the college level. Anyone that comes to mind that you would think of right off the bat?
Well, we just recently had Eli Cox is running for Tennessee Wesleyan, and I know that they just had a meet recently, and he was on their DMR distance medley relay and the 4x8, and they both placed in their I guess it was their conference meet.
He's a freshman.
Yeah. And so him being on those relays as freshman, that's big, and I know he was on their varsity cross country team this past fall.
Well, and I'm not telling you all anything you don't know, but in the teaching and coaching business, the rewards are seeing those students and athletes go on and accomplish things that you feel like you've had at least a little part of, encouraging them and helping them to move forward and be successful.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned from Ed and previous head coach Alan Etheridge is, and we impart this on them, freshmen don't understand it, we talk about a 4-year plan. For some kids, we talk about an 8-year plan, the next level. And then it's all about them liking what they're doing and being healthy people the rest of their life. And it's hard for a 14-year-old to wrap their head around that. But it's more important for them to be able to do things past us. And we always say, one of the things that I know is true when college coaches approach an Oak Ridge runner, they all know that the kids have gas left in the tank. They did not peak their senior year. They're going to be able to go and grow and actually really help their team. We just saw Genevieve Schwartz, who is a former runner of ours. She was running for ETSU, and she is the textbook example of that. She's running lights out in college, and that and we don't talk all the time, but when we see her times, we talk, and that's one of the biggest things that please us as people.
Right, absolutely. Well, I see that both of you have on your 2022 track and field T-shirts.
You'll have one.
Well, that's exciting. And if you were standing up on the back of it, you would have your schedule. But one of the things it says basically is away meets, because all of the meets this year are away. When we come back in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about why that is happening and what is going to take place to see that doesn't happen again. So we'll take a short break and we'll be back. This is Focus on Education. Welcome back to Focus on Education. My guests today are head track coach Tom Sawyer and head cross country coach Ed Wright. They both work collectively to coach in both programs, actually, as we learned in the first segment when we talked about the cross country and track programs at Oak Ridge High School. Now we're going to talk about something that's even more important, because it has to do with the fact that this year, and I think last year as well.
We had a couple meets last year, but not many.
This year there will be no home track meets for Oak Ridge High School track. All their meets will be run away, and we hope that this will be the last year that will be happening, because there is a major renovation project going on at Ben Martin Track. So I'm going to kind of open it up to both of you and talk about what's going on. Most importantly, there's some fundraising that's going to be going on, and we hope, as you mentioned earlier to me, that seems to be going quite well. Would mention, and they'll talk to you about this, that their fundraising is not for the purpose of the track facility that's being funded through the Oak Ridge schools in the city of Oak Ridge. And I'll let them tell you what the fundraising is about and how you can go about contributing to this project. So before we get to that, let's just talk about the track and how we got to where we are, and then take us to what we can expect to see hopefully within a year.
You want me to start? Well, so the track, the last time the track got resurfaced was 2008. So there's lots of places on the track currently that have holes all the way down to the concrete. There are places where there are cracks along what used to be the fence on the bleacher side. That's due to the fact that there are sinkholes forming under the base, the concrete base. So all that has to be redone in order for us to put a track down and for it to survive longer than a year or 2 years. We can't, and with all the holes and everything that's forming on the track, when it rains heavily, it would hold water in certain areas. You can't have a track meet. You can't even have kids practicing on it safely. And so that's got us to where we are now and needing a total overhaul.
So let me throw something in there. And you mentioned, Tom, you mentioned this when we were talking earlier, that people will drive by and from a distance look and don't see any problems. And I know the schools, we've been aware of this for some time, and we've tried to put some Band-Aids here and there that have helped a little, but it just continues to get worse. I called Mayor Gooch and I said, I need to meet you at the track, because I hadn't been out on the track. And so he and I met down here and just went for a walk. And we were both concluded that, number one, what we saw was not acceptable. And it was important for both of us to see that, because, as I mentioned earlier, the funding needed to come through help with the city and the schools. And the mayor and council made a commitment to do that. So that was an important day, and it was terrible and unacceptable. So we know that the track is not safe. It's not the type of facility that we would want our student athletes at Oak Ridge High School to even be on, and it's embarrassing. Yeah. So how are we going to fix that?
Well, they're fixing it. So that's the good news. After years of talk, especially, thank you for taking Mayor Gooch down. Said similar things to Dr. Borchers and Mr. Lay, that the only way you know what the facility is if you're in it. And the only people that are really in it are runners. And it was very hard for them to not feel neglected, and the track was a physical representation of that. Like I said, the good news is we're moving past that. With the public, what I'm trying to convey to the public is we're not just getting a new track, they are making a whole new facility. So it's going from the concrete, everything's getting ripped out. The practice field for the football team has been in poor shape, since I've been coaching here. And one of the reasons is because of the infrastructure underneath. The drains are from the 40s. And so it would not drain, it would sop up, it would encroach on the track. And for example, where the high jump pit area is, you can literally walk down and make like snowmen out of the rubber that has become dust. When they start the big construction, if you go by the track now, you can see there's no goalposts, the signs down. The schools have done taking everything out. Now we're just ready for the contractor to come in and literally tear the place up. As we mentioned before, even if this fell through, we wouldn't be able to have any track meets on there ever again. Like we would have been all the way for a bad reason this year if this hadn't been done. And I can't thank the city and the schools enough for making this happen. I've never seen the kids more excited because we talked about it, and then the money was approved, and then the insurance and the lawyers approved everything. And the kids are still like, even today, they're like, "Is it really happening?" Because until we see like a bulldozer,
yeah,
see a bulldozer, and so, but they're excited because it is going to be in a good spot. So, okay.
So there's going to be people who are used to seeing the facility saw that the discus and the shot put were kind of on the other side of the creek. Yep. So to speak, but now that's going to be everything's going to be inclusive right there. Is that correct?
Yes. Our facility is going to be the only dedicated track facility in East Tennessee besides Tom Black Track at the University of Tennessee. Most schools, Knox County and surrounding areas, their track is in the middle of their football stadium. And Blankenship has got its own special history. So we're in a different position where the only reason why anybody's going to go and view a spectator event is to watch a track meet. Unless people want to watch the football team practice, which they do.
Right.
We're going to be the only one of the only schools that has a steeplechase, which is for the public. It's the big barriers and the water hazard, and the throws and shot, everything in the pole vault. Everything will be viewable from inside the facility. Places like Farragut, which is great, people had to make do. They can't have all that stuff where everybody is, and so either pole vault shoved to a side or the throws are up on a hill behind the stadium. This is going to be an experience, especially when we get bleacher extensions and things like that, that when you come in, you plop down, you're going to be able to see anything you want to see. And if you can't, there will be places where you can go to see it without having to hike. So it's going to be a first class facility.
So we're talking about a whole new facility, which is a new track surface. We're talking about incorporating all the events so a person can come and watch them. We're talking about new lighting, I would imagine.
Yes,
we're talking about concession stand improvements, bleacher improvements. This is not, things are going to get done so track meets can occur, and then other side projects like that will fall into place.
Yeah.
Okay, fundraising. I know you're involved in some fundraising. How can folks get involved, and what is your fundraising all about?
Well, for phase one, which is everything inside the fence, not building wise, we are tasked with having to fundraise as a team for all the new equipment. One of the things that when this first started to become apparent that this was real, the number one thing that we had to have were new hurdles. The hurdles that the school currently has are the ones that me and Ed watched other people hurdle on. They're outdated. They're not modern. One of the good things that's happened is we've already reached the milestone where we've already placed an order for 85 customized rocker hurdles that we got a really good deal on. And we're now we're very close. We've raised so far $13,500. And once we get 4,000 more, we'll be able to purchase the high jump. Then pole vault is a very expensive apparatus to get. That is in the neighborhood of $20,000. And we're doing everything right now primarily through word of mouth and our website, www.orhstrack.com. I'll say it again, www.orhstrack.com. We're a 501c3, so we're a nonprofit. We are technically in any donation is tax deductible and above board. We can do it all online. And the amount of people that Ed and I grew up with, the amount of people that we've coached, the amount of people that just were a part of the program that know what it stands for have been super generous in reaching out. People that we don't even know, but they had experiences, either they did or their children did, with running at Oak Ridge. And it's a lot more vast than I could ever think. We just had to get this off the ground in January, so it's February, and so we've been doing extremely well so far. And all the fundraising goes to new equipment for the facility. The school and the city have funded the facility, which is, that's a lot. But in order to have a first-class experience in a first-class facility, we have to have first-class equipment.
Right.
Not pie-in-the-sky equipment, but equipment that we need to make sure that when people come to our track, that they're going to get an experience they do not get at other places. We have the staff that can put on a world-class, first-class meet. Now we're going to have the facility and equipment that's going to show that. One of our goals, and one of the things that we've done, is we've hosted an NAIA college meet a couple of years ago with the track that we have, and the coaches told me, because I was the meet director, that it was the best run meet that they'd been to, and that they were sorry that we had a track the way that we did.
But this is where you want to get back to that.
And having a reputation like that, people are going to come. And that's going to help the city as a whole. It's not just, it's for us and for our runners, but this is going to branch out to the whole community. That's the goal.
Well, and we mentioned earlier, we have middle school track programs who would benefit from this. And that is an important aspect, that it is this is for the community.
Yes.
And they can come and enjoy, in the very near future, exciting track competition. And you won't have to get on a bus and go anywhere. Everybody will be wanting to come here.
We also hold an elementary school
Right.
meet too, so it's
Right.
going to branch down to the elementary schools as well.
Absolutely. So one more time, let me put in a plug here and tell me if this is incorrect. If they wanted you all, they being some organization, wanted you all to come and speak and talk about the track program as we did today, and what this is going to entail and what it looks like and what's going to happen, you all would be glad to do that.
Yes, sir.
And they could get in touch with you at Oak Ridge High School.
Yep.
And they get in touch with you at Jefferson Middle School. Yes. And you want to give that website one more time where they can go if they want to make a donation.
Neil, you going to get me?
Yeah, they're ready.
www.orhstrack.com.
And we're excited. You all do a fantastic job, not only in the classroom, but with coaching, and we're excited about what this new facility is going to bring. And what you said earlier is the most important thing. The kids, student athletes being excited about it is what it's all about. So we're going to finish up with a new segment. It's called 5 Important Questions. And the reason it's 5 important questions is because there are 5 questions. And we'll start with you.
Okay. And
Ed, you get to kind of wait and think about your answer. Very simple. Okay, you ready? First question. Your favorite ice cream?
Why can't I think of it? Pistachio.
Favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay, Ed, we'll go with you first this time. Other than the Wildcats, your favorite sports team?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Kentucky.
Oh, I'm
a
sorry I
Kentucky
asked
fan.
you that question. Okay, same question. Other than the Wildcats, your favorite sports team?
Tennessee Vols.
Okay, we're back to you, Tom. If I wasn't a teacher coach, I would be
A lawyer.
a lawyer.
That's a great question. A sports commentator.
Well, there you go. Okay, Ed, we're back to you. Living or dead, a person I would like to meet.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's funny. Oh, I would like to meet George Lucas, creator of Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Tom, back to you. Favorite place to visit?
Oh man, there's a lot. It would be Florida Keys.
Isle of Palms.
Isle of Palms. All good answers, and that's 5 important questions that we've had. You've learned a little bit more about our coaches, not only the fact that they're outstanding track coaches and teachers here in the Oak Ridge system. Again, please get involved in this project. The money that would be donated will be going toward equipment, from hurdles to high jump equipment to pole vault equipment. And we'll be coming back. We're going to cross our fingers. We know how construction is. We're going to come back in a year, and we're going to do a program live from the new Oak Ridge High School Ben Martin track. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Sounds
That
good.
sounds great. All right. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back again next month with another program on Focus on Education. Have a good evening.